Well, hello there and welcome back to the Business of Becoming podcast. I'm your host, Lori Kennedy, and this is episode number 50. Yup, the big 50, and I couldn't be happier about it. To mark the 50th episode of the podcast, I wanted to do something a little bit different. So this episode is an Ask Me Anything solo round. And I polled my community and they submitted some really thoughtful and quality questions. And I chose to answer 3 for this episode. And I will definitely be doing more Ask Me Anythings in the future. So the 3 asks that I'm answering today, they're all different. One is about creating content. One is about how to fund your business growth, and the last one is about regrets. Everything I talk about today can be found over on our show notes at thewbh.com/50. So without further ado, let's start the show. So before I dive in today, I feel like I need to give a bit of a disclaimer. You may or may not notice that my voice sounds a little differently. I just have finished a super intense 3-day tournament with my son who plays lacrosse. It was the provincials, which means that they were basically vying to become Ontario champions for their division. They won. It was all very exciting. I yelled a lot. I yelled, "Get the ball!" a lot. And so now my voice is recuperating and healing. And so if I sound a little bit scratchy, that is why. So let's dive in because that was just, a little foray into why I sound a tad different today. So one of the most incredible parts of my job is that I get to answer questions. Now, if I'm being totally honest, sometimes my answer to the question is, you can Google that because Google is the best resource to figuring out how to grow your business. And I can honestly say that I've learned 70% of what I know just from Googling. Oh, I need a privacy policy disclaimer? Cool, I'll Google that. Oh, I need to figure out how to add a timer to a keynote presentation? Cool, I'll Google that. I need an employee contract? Cool, Google employee contract template. Literally, whatever it is that I need for the inner workings of my business, I first Google before I go to anyone else and ask them a question. So even the questions I'm going to answer on today's show, I'm sure that someone else has answered them in a YouTube video, and that's cool. The thing is, the thing that makes each one of us stand out is our own unique perspective and experience. So with that being said, let me get to answering the questions. The first question is from Chad, and Chad says, I'm somewhat new to nutrition online coaching. I've been dabbling in it for about 10 months. The more I dig into it, it seems like I need to be a content creator in order to succeed. That is not me. I love talking to clients, giving them as much help or attention as they need, but trying to come up with content and social media posts is painful to me. Is it still possible for me to succeed in this industry without embracing this part of the business? Thanks, Chad, for this question. It's a really good one, and I know that a lot of you listening likely feel the exact same way. So I'm going to answer this question in 2 parts. The first part, I'm going to explain why consistently publishing content is critical if the objective is to grow your online business. And the second part, I'm going to give you a formula that will help you create and publish content much more quickly and easily. Okay, the first part. Why it's critical to your success to consistently create and publish content. So the content that you publish on social media, specifically on free platforms like YouTube, is used to lure in, to attract your ideal clients. And you create content only for them so that when they do a Google search looking for an answer to their painful problem, guess what? They find you and your helpful content. So if you aren't showing up consistently, it's going to be very hard for those new potential clients to find you because they literally can't find you because you're not showing up. So we also have to take into account that potential clients have an element of stranger danger, right? They have an element of skepticism. They've stumbled upon you somehow, and now they have to decide if they first like you, right? Your content, your free content is the first impression, right? No free content, no first impression. So it stands to reason that the better quality content that is consistently published makes a better first impression. So something like a quick video with helpful information is better than nothing. So growing an online business, whether it's in the nutrition industry or any health niche, relies on you building up relationships with your audience, whether they're clients or not. And the way to attract and connect and excite your audience is through your content, because online you're not able to have those face-to-face conversations. So you've got to rely on your content to work for you 24/7 to build the relationship. And that's the best part about building an online business. Yes, it's a ton of work for sure, but once you have some content under your belt, it works for you while you sleep. It works for you while you go on vacation, or in my case, when you spend way too much time with your kids at their sports things. Take, this podcast episode, for example. This is content that will now live on, that will use to attract my ideal client and build the relationship for them. And yes, it does take time. It does. It takes time to create and to publish, but once you have it, like this podcast episode, it's going to work on my behalf 24/7 to attract and connect and help my audience get to better know me. So the trick to consistently creating content is knowing how to do it so that you don't feel like you're in constant creation mode. I know what that feels like, and that's not an awesome feeling. So I think one of the reasons that health professionals don't consistently create and publish content, and by consistently, I mean daily, is because they don't have a system for it. So let's move on to the second part of me answering this question. I'm going to give you a system so that all of you listening can consistently create and publish content that attracts, connects, and excites both prospects and clients 24/7. So I'm going to give you a repurpose plan that can be found over on our show notes at thewbh.com/50. It's a video training from my live event that we did called the Wellness Business Summit that you can download and watch for free. So, okay, I'm giving you the content repurpose plan. So the first step is to create content themes. Okay, these are themes that you focus on in your business, the things that you talk about and teach on over and over and over again. So for the purpose of this example, I'm going to give you themes in my business. So we talk about the health expert business model over and over and over again. We talk about launching over and over and over again. Email list building, money, time management, social media, my mompreneur life, team building, success mindset, and silly stuff. These are themes that I continuously repeat over and over and over again. And so you can create themes for your business based off of your own ideal client avatar, your brand, and the services and programs that you offer. So for Chad, who focuses on flexible dieting and macros, his themes might be calories, macronutrients, meal prepping and planning, eating on the run, social situations, self-sabotage, sleep, stress, supplements. Like, these are things that Chad probably talks about over and over and over again in his business, right? Creating themes are super helpful because when you have a container to brainstorm within versus just trying to think up new topics every single day, right? It becomes really hard. So what we do in my business is we have these themes and then we keep a running list of ideas and questions and things I want to talk about per each theme. So I have each theme as individual notes on my phone so that when I have an idea, I just jot it down under that theme note. And so what you're going to end up with is a long list of ideas that you want to talk about for each theme. And then you use the content creation and repurpose strategy that I'm sharing with you for free and can be found over at thewbh.com/50 to work through the content. So for example, Monday, you could talk about calories. Tuesday, you could talk about macros. Wednesday, you could talk about sleep. Thursday, you could talk about stress. Friday, self-sabotage. Saturday, mindset. Sunday, meal prep. And then the next week, you can switch that all up, add in new themes. So now that you have a framework for creating content ideas, aka themes, let's move into how to actually create the actual content so that you don't feel like you're in constant creation mode. So this framework that I'm going to run through starts with a Facebook Live or a video. Your choice. You can do both, one or the other, doesn't matter. Okay, so you want to schedule the Facebook Lives in advance in your calendar. You want to do them once or twice a week so that you can schedule, or if you're not going to do Facebook Lives, you can schedule maybe 1 or 2 days a month and you can record, 4 to 6 videos every single month. Either way, you just need it in your schedule so that you can commit to recording the content, whether it's Facebook Live or video. So the video here is key because you're going to use that one video and repurpose that content in multiple ways to use across various platforms. Your blog, Facebook video, Instagram newsfeed, so those 1-minute Instagram posts, Instagram stories, Instagram TV, YouTube, all across the platforms, okay? The big secret is that you don't have to create different content for various platforms. The big secret is that we're all just repurposing one piece of content in a variety of ways so that we can show up in a helpful way across all platforms. So I hope that that makes sense to you. Okay, so you choose from your themes 5 to 7, 5 to 6, however many videos to film, or the Facebook Lives that you're going to do. Okay, so for each video, you can work off of an outline so that you stay on point. The first couple dozen of videos are gonna kind of suck. So don't worry about it, just get them done, right? The goal is to consistently show up, and the more you do it, the better you will become at it, I promise. So you go and you record the videos or you do the Facebook Lives, and then all the magic happens. Once the video is done, here's what you're gonna do. And again, this is laid out for you in much more detail over on the show notes, thewbh.com/50, okay? So you're going to get each video or each Facebook Live transcribed. So you can turn that content into blog posts. You can use rev.com to transcribe your videos. That's the service we use. If you have another service, go ahead and use the other service, but we use rev.com to transcribe our videos. So you do the videos, you send them off to transcription. Then from the transcription, you can then highlight helpful tips and quotes and shorter status updates from the content that you created for the video or the Facebook Live. If you do a half an hour Facebook Live, or let's say a 5 to 10 minute video, you should be able to get anywhere from 5 to 15 individual pieces of content. So again, like one-liners, tips, longer paragraph status updates, right? You can, like a tweetable that you can turn into a meme from your own content. So once that's done, you can go back to the video or Facebook Live and edit that video or Facebook Live into shorter clips. So with many of my Facebook Lives, we timestamp them, right? So we have a spreadsheet where we're like, okay, from 1 minute and 27 seconds to 1 minute and 43 seconds, we're gonna extract that clip and we're gonna use it on Instagram. Because you've already done this long video, it's really easy for you to sit there and timestamp out shorter sections. For Instagram, those clips need to be under a minute long. For Instagram stories, it's 15 seconds. You can also edit that video or Facebook Live and then put it on Instagram TV, right? So you want to make sure that you timestamp out the videos that you've done. Now, filming, editing, breaking apart the content, turning the content into memes, it all takes time, and it takes a lot of time. So my recommendation is that you hire a qualified virtual assistant who can follow the content creation and repurpose plan. You can literally just give them the video that I'm giving you, so that you don't have to do that work, right? And the more the virtual assistant does it, they will get to know your voice and your language and your ideal client and your brand and all of that good stuff. So the virtual assistant can go through the transcription and pull content for you and turn that content into whatever you want and then schedule it all to be published. So in my case, I do the outlines for the videos and the Facebook Lives. I show up, I record the content, I hand the video over to someone else, and they take care of the rest. So that's how we are able to produce so much content consistently, is because I have other people running through this process all the time, right? I'm not sitting there time-stamping things because I need to be spending my time creating more video, creating more content. So it's well worth the investment to hire a virtual assistant for, let's say, 2 hours a week to do this process for you. So I found some incredible virtual assistants on the platform called Upwork.com. So it's UPWORK.com. And we'll link to all of this in the show notes over at thewbh.com/50. So there you have it, Chad. The answer to your question. I hope this was helpful. Please DM me on Instagram after you listen to this. You can find me at LoriKennedyInc.com. Let me know if this was helpful for you. Okay, next question comes from Melissa. And Melissa asks, I often hear you say you finance things with a credit card and how you financed big ticket coaching across multiple cards. I did when my first investment was $20,000 and I rotated it on 3 credit cards. And she goes on to say that it's worth it to invest in certain things to grow. So what do you do when you have 0 savings, your only card is maxed out and has been for years, you absolutely cannot be approved for any more credit, you've exhausted borrowing money from family and the bank won't give you a loan? How do you find financing for the things that you desperately need in your business to take things to the next level? I'm also going to add in the second part of her question because it's relevant to the mindset, and I know a lot of you listening struggle with this. So she goes on to say, I've taken on freelance work, I've taken on part-time work, I've sold things around the house. It's still never enough. If you're not making steady income, those part-time hours just give me the money I need to pay my bills, let alone invest in my business. Even something as simple as Facebook ads. I literally have no financing whatsoever to put into that. I do everything myself because I literally have no choice. There is no money anywhere for me to hire help at all. So if you want to go and actually look at this conversation, because it's a really interesting conversation and I know that it'll resonate with a lot of you, this question that Melissa posted is inside of the Take Your Health Practice online Facebook group. I'm going to link to the thread in the show notes, which can be found at thewbh.com/50. So I'm going to answer this question also in 2 parts. So the first part's going to be practical, the way that I made money to finance the growth of my business. And then the second part is going to be about money blocks and how I've trained my mind to think differently about money and abundance. So before I dive into this conversation, I'm going to give a disclaimer. I realize that everyone has a different money situation. I realize that everyone has different support situations and different upbringings. What I'm sharing with you is my experience, and I realize that not everyone has the same experience. I also realize that the topic of money or lack thereof can be quite triggering for some people. So I want to honor that. And if you like additional support, you can find this thread the question was asked on, and we can continue the conversation. Okay, so now that I got that off my chest, let's dive into the question. So I was deciding on where to start with this question, and I thought back to the beginning of my career and what I've done over and over again to enable me to get to the point where I'm at. And the thing that I've done is I've had 2 income streams at once. until I was able to leave the less desired income stream because the new one became more than enough. And as I was thinking about how to answer this question, that became very obvious to me. It was like, Lori, you've double jobbed it almost the whole way. And I was like, yes, I have. Okay, so here's the story. I started as a personal trainer. I've never had a corporate job. I started as a personal trainer. I did personal training and I waitressed. I waitressed to supplement my income until my personal training career, gave me the money that I needed to have. And then once that took off, I quit waitressing. And then I went back to school when I was a personal trainer to become a registered holistic nutritionist. And I tried to make that work in a clinic setting. I had no side hustle at that point. I was like, yes, letters after my name. I'm good to go. I'm going to be famous. I'm going to have a cookbook. I actually don't even cook. I'm going to be on TV. Nope. Totally bombed. I had no side hustle. I was going into debt, right? So then I went back to the gym and I picked up some personal training clients while I grew my nutrition business in the gym. So at the same time, I had personal training clients and I had nutrition clients until my nutrition gig gave me the money I wanted and I could let go of the personal training clients. Then, as I was moving into my current role, let's call it business coaching, I still ran my nutrition business 3 to 4 days a week for 2 years until my online business coach business gave me the money that I needed it to so that I wouldn't have to stress. So I've side hustled my way here with a full-time job. So I basically double jobbed it the entire time. And then even when I was able to move into this current full-time role without the nutrition, let's call it side hustle, I still supplemented my online income with one-to-one business coaching clients for years until I could solely rely on the online programs as the only source of revenue. So if I time-stamped my journey, I started personal training seriously in, when I came back from university. So like 2004, I had a job. And then I did that while I was building my nutrition business. My nutrition business funded my current business. One-to-one clients got me through. So I get that so many people don't show that even though they have an online business, they're still side hustling offline, doing speaking gigs and taking one-on-one clients. So I'll answer this part of the question with more questions for those of you who are struggling, because it was the only way that I could think of without launching into this whole long lecture of what I think you should be doing. If you're struggling, if you feel like money is tight and you're not exactly sure how to grow your current business, there's a couple of things. Get a side hustle, right? You might have to take on training clients or one-on-one clients or go work at a health food store or waitress or do whatever the case may be to fund the growth of your venture. There's no shame in that. Most people do that, right? Most people don't have the good fortune to only work in their business full-time. They're working in their business full-time and they're side hustling part-time. And that's the way it goes for a lot of people for many, many years. I didn't have someone funding my startup venture. I didn't have, money in the bank. My credit cards were also often maxed and I wasn't able to get a line of credit. So I used what I had. I was resourceful. I had personal training. I used that for nutrition. I had nutrition. I used that for online business. I did one-on-one coaching for many, many years, like 20 hours a week, so that I could continue to invest in my business and learn and grow. So I have some questions for you. For those of you that are struggling, I think these questions will at least sort of ignite or initiate a new way of thinking. So questions. What are you doing to get in front of your people on a daily, weekly basis? Are you showing up as you on a daily basis? And I mean more than just posting on Instagram. Are you doing Facebook Lives? Are you doing offline speaking gigs, right? There are many, many offline opportunities that you're missing out on, right? Is there a way to supplement your income? Maybe it's not ideal, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Maybe running online programs where you're not intimately involved isn't the best option right now, right? Even though it's the most ideal option. I think everybody, who the goal at the end of the tunnel, or the goal at the end of the rainbow, I should say, is running an automated evergreen style program. But I don't believe that we can nor should completely remove ourselves unless you're selling like a $27 meal plan. But if you're selling a multi-week program where there's transformation involved, I think that it's our responsibility to show up. So whether that's with additional private coaching calls or group coaching or whatever the case may be, but part of the reason that it's harder to sell is because you might be running your programs and offering your services in a way that's not actually appealing to your ideal clients at this point in time. Do you know how much money you want to make per month and how many clients you need to take on in order to make that? Do you have a structured sales process in place that converts, like actually converts? Do you have a way for potential clients to book sales calls with you? Are you spending time each day engaging with your people on social media and inviting them to sales calls, getting them on the phone, talking with them, serving them, selling them? Are you running webinars, hosting Facebook Lives, and making yourself available to your community? Are you being a go-giver? Do you sell your services and programs on the regular? And by the regular, I mean weekly. Are you always selling? Or do people not even know that you have something to offer? The reason that I'm asking these questions is because there isn't one straight answer. Believe me, I wish there was. The fastest path to the cash is working with one-on-one clients. And you can do this with your signature program, and they can run through the program, the automated program online, and then schedule coaching calls with you weekly or every other week. People want to work with you. So for those of you listening who were like, oh my gosh, automation, evergreen, I don't want to have to do calls, I don't want to have to do this, you might want to check yourself, right? People want to work with you. People want to engage with you. People want to have you hold them accountable. And so I know that for most of you, this is how you're going to run your business for a long while. Running people through your automated signature program with one-to-one calls until you build up enough experience and social proof and a team to help you remove yourself from the one-to-one coaching. And then you've kind of hit the gravy train where you can move into full-on group coaching. And in my experience, you can't ever really remove yourself completely. Your business is built around you. You can absolutely hire other coaches to do calls for you and to do, moderate your Facebook groups, but someone needs to be available to work with clients. And at the end of the day, everybody just wants to work with you. That's where I am now. I don't get on the phone with anybody anymore, right? Not even as like a one-off thing. It took me almost a decade to get to this point. And I'm sure it shouldn't have taken me this long, but it did, and that's my journey. And so I just want to share that with you, that you might want to rethink your business model if you've completely removed yourself from what you're doing. Because at the end of the day, people just want you, whether it's a one-on-one call situation or a group coaching situation. So I mentioned a number of things that you can do, and also to ensure that you show up in your business to coach your clients online. So I hope that part helped you to increase your monthly income. So the next part of Melissa's question that I want to address are some of the things that she stated in her question to me. And I'm going to touch upon this for a minute because this is the work. This is the becoming. The Business of Becoming podcast is all about all of us doing the work to become more of who we are meant to be so that we can go out and serve the world and have impact and transform our lives. So I'm going to reread some of what she says here because I just want to address it. She says, I've taken on freelance work. I've taken on part-time work. I've sold things around the house. It's still never enough. And then the last sentence, she says, I literally have no financing whatsoever to put into that. I do everything myself because I literally have no choice. There is no money anywhere for me to hire help at all. So here's the thing. While I am not a therapist, I've gone through some of these things myself. I'm not sure if Melissa actually believes that or she just wrote it in frustration, which is entirely possible, right? However, I'm going to take it as literal because she wrote it. So if this is something that you guys believe, that it's still never enough, that there's no money anywhere for you to hire help at all, this is where we need to start. Because if you believe that, guess what's going to happen? There will never be any money anywhere for her to hire help at all. And I get that it's really hard to feel differently when you're feeling stressed out about money, which is why I recommend getting a side hustle to alleviate that stress. Yes, it adds on more pressure because you're working more hours and you might not have as much time to grow your business as you would like. And it's tiring. However, you need money to invest in your business. And so if it's not coming from your business at this point, it needs to come from somewhere because there is more than enough money to go around. There is money. She just has to be resourceful. All of you listening has to be resourceful and go and find it, right? And go and find it. So, and go and sort of attract it to her. So one of the books that I love that has really helped me overcome my money blocks is called The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. It is a phenomenal book. And I want you guys to pay attention to your money stories. If you're like, oh my gosh, there's never enough money and I'm broke and I'm this and I'm never going to be able to do this or that. We have to start changing the story. We have to start changing the language. Otherwise, you're going to get what you ask for. No money at all. So I'll leave that one there because I could go on and on for days about that. But I just wanted to address some of the limiting beliefs in Melissa's question because I know that probably a lot of you have very similar money stories running through your head that we need to address. Okay. Last Ask Me Anything question for today's show is from Karen, and I saved this one for last because it's not tactical in nature, although it kind of ended up being tactical a little bit. But anyway, Karen asks, I don't believe in regrets, but I sometimes think, darn, if I could just go back to that decision and slightly tweak it, or maybe just that one turning point, I would have done it differently. Is there a decision that you'd like to go back and change, or do you have advice for those of us based on a whopper or two of a past mistake? Oh, Karen, and everyone listening, don't we all have those times where we're like, damn, if I only wish I had known, or I really wish I would have done that differently, right? Yeah, it's not a practice of mine to live in regrets because I have them, and I also believe that with every fiber of my being that what happens in my life is supposed to happen. And at the same time, I'm human and I've made some bad choices, or I've had to learn the same lesson more than once in order for it to stick. Don't know if any of you guys have experienced that where you're like, oh my gosh, this lesson again, it's showing up again. Right. Probably because I'm repeating the same shit over and over again. This lesson keeps popping up. Noted, check. We'll take it in. Okay, so there are two things that I want to share related to Karen's question. The first one is about investing in coaching or a mastermind. I am a sucker for a good sales pitch, and I also firmly believe in paying for accountability and to learn what I need to learn from people who've had success in that area. I also have FOMO. I have a fear of missing out. So when I see something or someone who I think can help me grow my business, I jump on it without doing my homework, without really vetting the person, their offer, or the program. This is dangerous because there are a lot of shady people out there who talk a good game but haven't proven their model and frankly teach things that don't work. It's easy to teach something and it's much harder to share what's worked and what hasn't based on your own experience. I guess it's all about integrity. Sadly, some people don't have any. So we only teach what we do and what's worked for us. That's my rule in my business. But because I'm a quick decision maker and didn't take the time to vet the person and their offer, I've been burned badly and have literally wasted tens of thousands of dollars in masterminds and programs that were either complete crap because the person doesn't have integrity, or the person is awesome, but because I didn't vet the program, it wasn't what I needed for me at that time. So there was one time years ago, I was still married, I joined a mastermind, and you guys, I ended up teaching the freaking content because I had done launches and I'd worked with affiliates, and the guy hosting the program hadn't done any of that stuff himself. He simply ran one aspect of tech for other people's launches, but had never really done anything on his own and therefore had zero real idea about what it was like. So because he only handled the tech, he didn't do any of the planning. He didn't do anything. He couldn't answer the questions. So that was a waste. And I stopped the payments on that one. So if you could take anything from that experience, if you're going to invest in a high ticket program or mastermind with a coach, make sure that you properly vet them and the program. Look at their track record, stalk their social media to see if they are in alignment with your values. Talk to some of their past clients, ask for success stories. And if the offer seems too good to be true, like they're telling you you can make 6 figures in 30 days, well, it's probably too good to be true. Okay, like Karen, I don't really have any regrets, but there is one big lesson that cost me a year of my life, tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees, and then because I didn't fully learn the lesson that time around, I got to experience the situation again where I had the honor of it being fully drilled into my being. And this lesson is on partnerships. So back in 2011, 2012, when I was first starting my online business, I had my nutrition company called Wow Weight Loss. And I turned that into a license opportunity. And at that time, for a brief time, I had a business partner. And because I didn't know any better, we did not have any formal legal agreement. We each owned 50% of the shares of the incorporated company, but that was it. It was like a napkin agreement. It wasn't even a napkin agreement. We didn't even have an agreement. We didn't know we needed one. So our partnership didn't last long. And when it dissolved, I was adamant that I was retaining my company. I was retaining, 99% of the assets that were brought in were mine. I brought them in. I wanted to retain them. Because we didn't have a legal agreement, I had to buy her out. If I wanted to keep my company that I had started back in 2007, I had to buy her out. And since we were making money, the company had value. And she wasn't letting me off the hook so easily. So it took almost a year of fighting with lawyers. And at that time, what I considered to be a hefty buyout in order to retain what I had built and grown. I can honestly say that partnership dispute was 1,000 times more stressful and upsetting than my divorce. And I think mostly it's because I built that company with my own blood, sweat, and tears. My company is me and I am my company. And she didn't deserve any of it because I didn't know any better and because I trust that people are innately good, I didn't protect myself. So the second time I had to learn this lesson, which definitely wasn't as hostile as the first time, I thought I did a better job because we used lawdepot.ca. We created a partnership agreement, but I didn't learn the lesson the first time around. We didn't work with a lawyer. We just did the partnership agreement ourselves. We got it witnessed. And then I went to go dissolve that partnership agreement and we didn't do it the right way and things were sloppy and things got missed and misconstrued. And because of that, our relationship deteriorated. So the big warning, warning, make sure that if you're going to form a partnership, that it is A, the right thing for you to do, and B, make sure that if you do form a partnership, that the roles and responsibilities are very clearly defined, and see that even if that partnership is with your spouse or your sister or your aunt or whoever, people that you think it'll never get ugly, always work with a lawyer to have legal documents in place if you are going to partner or even profit share with anyone. Learn from my mistakes. Spend the money, work with a lawyer. Believe me when I say everyone is nicey-nicey until they aren't. And when there's money involved, it can go from nicey-nicey to hostile pretty dang quick. So the last thing that I'll say about this is building a business from scratch means that you're going to make mistakes. And some of them will be doozies, and they will result in hard times and stress. It's part of the journey. And if you're like me, you might have to experience those lessons more than once in order for them to make a lasting impact. Just don't sit in the mistake too long or dwell on it too long. Learn, take the lesson in, release the feelings, and move on. So there you have it, our very first Ask Me Anything episode in the books. Thank you to listening. Thank you for listening to our first 50 episodes. We've got a lot of amazing shows coming up for you in the next couple of months. So if you're not already subscribed on iTunes and Stitcher, go ahead and subscribe now, and then come over to Instagram at Lori Kennedy Inc. and let me know a question that you would like me to answer for our next Ask Me Anything episode. Thanks for listening, and we will talk soon.